With who?
The school system.
So yeah, there's a big Texas Ag initiative going out to provide food for the school systems. About 8 months ago, I got pretty deep into that. They do not value local food yet. They think it should be the same price as food trucked in from Guatemala. So we're not there yet. They wanted it wholesale. So yes, we've had the conversation. I'll answer the next question that tails on that. Restaurants. We haven't really, restaurants are kind of the same way. They think of it, they want to approach us as a produce company. We're not a produce company. We're not going to ever be able to say, hey, we're going to be able to bring you 30 pounds of carrots every week for 30 weeks. We can't do that. We had a hailstorm this year, tore up everything. One of the farms demolished it. If you're going to grow food sustainably outside with sunlight and water, you're going to have crop failures. So for community supported agriculture often doesn't mesh with any kind of commercial supply. So we've got a couple of restaurants in town that are super interested in local food and super interested in creating a menu about what we can bring them, maybe weekly or monthly. That's the kind of people, just like with home delivery partners. Listen, I'm bringing you a basket tomorrow that if you don't have a good cutting board and you don't have a good knife and you haven't made the commitment to process this food and feed your family, you're not going to be happy with it, because it's 10, 11, 12 pounds of food in a black crate, and the carrots have dirt on them. They're not washed, because your food is best if it's skinned. It's not the skin, but if what it grew in remains on it until right before you wash it, right before you chop it. That's when it's best. So it takes a special person to buy our produce. We've had food kitchens before that I've called and said, hey, I've got 100 pounds of zucchini and summer squash. Do you want it? No, I don't want that. Because they're used to going back and grabbing a number 10 can off a shelf, putting on a can opener, boom, butter, salt, pepper. I got 12 servings of vegetable, how many ever, okay? So we try to donate 1,000 pounds of onions to Meals on Wheels. 1,000 pounds of onions are like, no. And I'm like, what? Their building was built to take food from Cisco and Benny and Keith 3 deliveries a week. It all comes in and all goes out. They don't even have a pantry to keep fresh vegetables in. That's a real passion for me, is feeding our older population high quality food. And we went to the one place that's talking about feeding the geriatric population. They didn't want local food. They said, hey, if you chop it and bag it and freeze it, we'll probably take it. We don't have a food kitchen yet. And I don't know how much equity is on the table for local farmers. It's kind of like right now, from a revenue standpoint, why go after wholesale business when you still have a retail business that's not satisfied yet? We had 11 people that we had to turn down for a $1,200 a year delivery service this year, because we simply did not have the infrastructure to grow the food for those 11 families. So I would love, I think schools should have a garden on campus.
Or even like field trips.
Field trips. The problem, we tried to get some gardens on elementary school campuses 5 years ago. There's nobody to take care of it from May 20th until August 20th. Well, do you want to know what percentage of your crops come out of your garden during that 3-month period? 65%. So more than half of the food comes off of local farms right now, because a lot of them haven't put the infrastructure in it takes to grow food as early. Most gardening in Texas, people plant one garden, it starts putting off food about the 1st of May, and then they have given up on it by August 15th. It's too hot. We're growing food right now year round. We're still planting lettuce, carrots, collards, Swiss chard, kale, beets. So we've identified, if I'm going to be a healthy farmer, I've got to have that food year round. I feel indescribably better when I'm eating my 2 meals a day from food that I know where it came from. you know, like Duncan and I went to Alfredo's a couple months ago. Oh man, he still ate Mexican food. I can have one or two of those kind of meals a week. If I even put two of those together back to back, I'm destroyed. My gastrointestinal tract is done. Vacations are tough. We have to pack food when we go on vacations. It's crazy. But so I got 3 grandkids, 4-year-old twin girls and a 3-year-old grandson. We went to the beach 2 weeks ago, and my daughter wanted me to cook all this comfort food that she was used to growing up with. I was like, no, I'm not cooking that. Well, we're not gonna eat kale. And there was a division there because I wanted to be available and present for my grandkids. I knew if I ate that crap, I would not be. I only get to see them 2 or 3 times a year. So I think, the volume for one elementary school blew me away. The volume of food it takes to supply for them. We're talking about green beans, carrots, potatoes, simple stuff, corn. Blew me away how much produce we would have to grow. That would take an army of local farmers. We hope there's an army of local farmers eventually. Right now, there's not. There's 2 really cohesive local farms right now.
The schools don't really serve homegrown, fresh meals anymore.
It's all USDA contract stuff.
Yeah, they claim to, and they're outsourcing it, like the schools don't need it anymore, somebody else uses it.
My mom was a lunchroom lady and it was real food.
Yeah, we're talking 40 years ago. Absolutely. Yeah, James Caton, our eldest board member, he's in his 80s. He graduated from Wiley in 1955. Kent Barkley had a garden that was staffed by prisoners of war, and they grew a lot of food that went right into Wiley food system. So kids in the 50s were eating green beans, carrots, potatoes, farm fresh food. And so to grow for the AISD, we're talking elementary, junior high, and high school with the other high. And you'd have to have probably a 120-acre farm growing just for them. But yeah, kids need to know. I mean, my son, my kids, I came home one day and started chopping vegetables and cooking, and all my kids lost weight. I was like, I'm not doing it. They're not having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'm not taking them to Taco Bell. McDonald's is done. I mean, I came in with a meat cleaver and cut off their nutritional life. They were pissed. I took their pull away, and then I'm gonna be with McDonald's no more. I was a pretty unpopular dad for a few years until my son really got hold of it, and he had to lose 60 pounds to get in the Navy, 18 years old, and he lost 60 pounds in 9 months because he ate everything his mom and I cooked for him, and he quit going and eating other places. So yes, to answer your question, I would love for elementary kids to be eating farm fresh food. I think I wouldn't even, it would be unfair for me to even guess how far we're away from that.
I worked at Dinner Street Abilene in finance, and we got a grant and built raised bed gardens, and the little kids tended to it, and then the ladies cooked it.
Was it pretty successful?
Oh, yes, I mean, it was not very big,
Right.
but, and then they sent the food out for the parents to take home,
Cool.
the vegetables.
Very cool.
It was pretty neat.
I would love to
Schools
see.
could do that too.
Yeah, I would love to, personally, I would love to see, and I'm talking, I've had 3 kids in public schools, so I feel like that my perspective is valid on this. I would love to see year-round school. I would love to see year-round school with some 3-week breaks in there, and I would love to see schools growing food. But that would take year-round school to pull that off.
So let's talk some accounting-like questions.
Sure.
What are your major sources of revenue?
Major source of revenue, donations.
And you said they're about 50%?
Not this year. We lost a major donor at the end of 2018, so not this year. The person got their identity stolen, older person got fleeced for $500,000.
Oh.
Retirement account got cleaned out. Abilene Gives is, y'all probably heard of that. That we raised about $9,000 last year from Abilene Gives. Donations, technically the produce right this year is still running through Hunter Root Family Farms. That will probably change in 2020 and be outsourced, where the payments from the home delivery partners go to somebody besides me.
Okay.
I don't know who that's gonna be. But all of the accounting, every single bit of it currently is done by me and like accounting.
And the donation, is it 50% administrative expenses and then 50% buying whatever you need, or is it all buying something?
It's all mixed in. The administrative expense, it's by the seat of our pants right now. Literally, we have never not had enough diesel fuel to deliver vegetables yet. But I would say it's probably 1 month, we probably spend 75% of that money, donations on supplies, and 25% on administrative. The next month, it's probably different month to month. It's probably, now, we don't have a ton of administrative expenses. We have a QuickBooks subscription, that's it. The internet is still, I'm still paying for it off of my phone. Right now, the revenue from vegetables comes in, 45% of it is contract labor to the other producer. 55% of it goes into Huggaroo. I get a predetermined salary per month, and then I have to figure out how to buy diesel fuel, lunch for young men, supplies and everything, with about $700 or $800 a month usually.
Do you have a board of directors?
Yes,
Do y'all have bylaws?
yes.
How many people are on the?
Right now, 5. Looking to revamp that to 7. We're going through possibly some rebranding. I can't extrapolate on that right now. But we're looking to go to 7. We're looking to attract professionals on the board. Right now, it's kind of some people I've known for several years and some friends and stuff like that. But that's one of the biggest hurdles that we face from a fundraising standpoint. Most boards of a nonprofit, most board members are bringing donations or revenue into the nonprofit. Nobody on the Roots board is.
So if someone wants to bring a pretty hefty donation, they want a tax advantage to it, are you able to?
Sure, we're a 501c3. Absolutely.
So you'll make a statement for them?
Absolutely, I mail those out, and, they've got to be postmarked by January 31st. They're handwritten right now,
Oh, wow.
or a form letter. I'm not.
That's a lot of work.
Sometimes I don't have to, sometimes I drive to the farm, and I have to tether my Wi-Fi for my office off of my phone, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And so you drive all the way out there to do accounting, and, it's what it is. I'm not, I've got to focus on doing the best I can with what I have right now. Otherwise, we never would have gotten it, we would have quit. Kind of a million reasons not to do this. But there's 2 or 3 good ones that say do it. They kind of overpower the rest. Number 1, my health, y'all. I mean, that's huge. It's huge. Why would I quit doing this? You know, my doctor's like, dude, you got the blood work of a 30-year-old. Great. You know, 15 years ago, I had the blood work of a 50-year-old. So,
Do a rehab for food?
gotta have the leafy greens. We didn't just start growing stuff willy-nilly. We went and sat down with physicians, nutritionalists, and said, if we want to make a difference in people's health, I mean, we like literally, we want our home delivery partners' nails to grow better. We want their hair to feel better. We want men in their 40s to start eating healthy food. What do we got to do? They said go lots and lots of leafy greens. They gave us this book, World's Most Nutritious Food. Swiss chard, #1, y'all. Boom. It's right there at the very first of it.
I ain't never heard of
Really?
Yeah,
it. No, I don't know what it looked like. Nothing. I never
It's
heard of it.
pretty.
it is pretty.
It is pretty.
Very, especially the rainbow chard. It's a
bitter.
dark green,
What is it?
dark, curly, leafy green, kind of thick, a little waxy. And depending on the color of the stalk, because it's purple, yellow, orange, red, the stalk comes up and the veins run through the green leaves. It's beautiful. It's in the beet family.
Really bitter.
It is salty and bitter. And I don't eat bacon. See, I used to eat any green on the face of the earth with bacon, but I don't eat pork. And taking pork out of my life was huge. Man, Super Bowl come along, and I see my friends eating bacon wrapped pepper poppers, I'm like drooling.
So walk us through what happens when you receive a payment for produce, like.
Okay, so we receive those payments 3 different ways,
Okay.
4 different ways. One is cash. We've got two home delivery partners that pay $100 bill every month. They've made it clear they're not gonna pay any other way, period, end discussion. Don't even try to talk to me about automated payments. I'll give you $100 cash per month for the rest of your life. Don't ask me about any kind of automated payment, okay? See 37 people right now that are receiving produce monthly, 2 cash, 10 or 12 checks, old school handwritten checks. Some of them come through Chase or they set up a payment through their bank and they come in the mail and they're like printed, but I still have to endorse it, put the account number on it, et cetera, et cetera. 4 or 5 people who are members of Abilene Teachers Federal Credit Union, where our account is, have set up transfers on the 20th. Our due date is the 20th. So every month, boom, I get a text message, such and such is deposited $100. And then about half of our payments go through our website is Squarespace, hosted by Squarespace. And y'all may have heard of Stripe. Stripe is basically a credit card. You go in there and you enter your credit card information. You can set it up recurring. You can set it up once a month. They charge 3%. So for us to get our $100 a month, if you want to pay Stripe, you have to pay $130. And then we end up with $100.41, I think it is. So there is a fee if you want to pay electronically. So that's the 4 ways right now that we get payment: Stripe, bank transfer, old school check, cash.
So it's $100 a month, $1,200 a year?
This year it was. It's going to escalate next year. This was the first year we ever kept books on expenses for home delivery and found out that we lost money this year. So,
What's your radius for delivery?
Merkel, Merkel and Tuscola both. We had 2 in Merkel and just lost one. And that really sucks because, I mean, it's a long trip just for one basket. Tuscola is not so bad because right now the farm being in Buffalo Gap, it's just 5 or 6 minutes over to Tuscola. And I've got another one on a back road between Tuscola and Abilene. We're evaluating whether we can do that next year, whether we can go outside of Abilene maybe. But from a faith perspective, the Lord has always told me if somebody wanted to participate financially, to honor that, He would take care of it. And so far, again, back to, there's not been a time I haven't had enough diesel fuel to make a delivery. So there is a challenge blending a faith component with other farmers who don't have that faith component in their life. It's a balancing act. A lot of sitting around a fire talking about how we're gonna get this figured out. Because I'm all like, hey, the Lord's gonna take care of me. And literally, there was a time, y'all, when Pam and I were funding this, that we were within 72 hours of foreclosure on our house, okay? My wife is mentally disabled. She don't even leave the house for 3 or 4 days at a time. And I wasn't home, and a constable came and knocked on the door and served her papers and said, you don't come up with X amount of dollars in 72 hours, I'm kicking you all out. And so when I talk about my faith component, I walked into a 12-step meeting the next morning. I attend meetings for Overeaters Anonymous. Food is my drug of choice. I would rather hurt myself with food than get drunk or smoke weed or snort coke, any of that. I would rather go to Alfredo's and eat so much that I just go home and pass out. That's my drug. So I'm in an OA meeting the next morning, and a lady walks up to me, about a 70-year-old lady, and says, the Lord told me last night that I was supposed to be a need for you today. And I said, I'm good. She said, are you about to deny me a blessing? And I was like, oh no. And I'm literally, y'all, there's big old tears in my eyes. My wife had dated her son in high school. She said, what is going on? And I said, we made some poor financial decisions trying to get this nonprofit going. And I got behind on my house payment, and they want 6 payments now. And they're fixing to kick us out Tuesday. She said, what? You you're so well put together, what do you mean you're in I said, foreclosure. And she said, how much do you need? I said, $2,865. She looked out a checkbook, wrote me a check for $3,000 and said, go cash this, overnight your mortgage company the money, and take your family out to eat somewhere tonight that you normally couldn't afford to eat. He's not taking care of other people the same way, so I've had to blend that. I know 100% I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, period. He gave us a $30,000 piece of real estate. When I first walked in to over there and said, hey, will you give us this piece of real estate? I got laughed at. I got laughed at by people that teach here. Like, how dare you ask for something for free? I'm like, listen, I'm leading to $100 grand in. I'm just asking for somebody else in the community to stand beside us. I'm not asking for anything for free. I don't own that piece of property. Huckleberry Family Farms owns that piece of property. So that's how the Lord has strategically, it's kind of fun, honestly. I mean, life's an adventure for me. I got to show 3 young men today who never had, they don't have calluses on their hands when they come hang out with me. The first day they go home, a lot of times their hands are bleeding. And I got to show them today what hard work looks like. Their dads aren't showing them. Not all of them. So, the good thing is I got $150 of gravel for free. Now there was a real muddy spot when you pull into the soccer field, now it's got gravel there. So yes, $1,200 a year or $720 a year for bi-weekly delivery. And that's a lot of food. If you get a weekly delivery, you better be eating it. So if I come into your house and I see half that basket on the counter wasted the next week, I'm pissed. I spent me and other farmers way too hard to go give it to your neighbor. Knock on your neighbor and say, hey, you got some Swiss chard? Because I hate it.
I don't know what this is, but they eat it.
So how do y'all keep your books and records right now?
Manually, and then when I get time to take the bank statement and go in and catch everything up on QuickBooks, I do it. Takes me about, God, this sounds horrible. I feel completely, it takes me all day to do a month. It takes me a full day to do a month. And what I'm talking about, when I say I do a month, I'm pulling an envelope out with all the receipts that I put in my pocket for gas and whatever, and I'm coding them, and I'm going into QuickBooks and I'm entering those transactions and taking all those payments from those home delivery partners. It's my least favorite thing I do.
Why was QuickBooks your choice and not going to somebody or?
We went to an accountant 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, because I told them, I don't want to do this. Number one, I don't feel like there's nothing fishy going on, but I don't feel like as executive director, I should be doing all this bookwork and cutting my own paychecks and all this stuff. It don't feel right to me, okay?
I was gonna say, what does that mean, guys? What is that? What
But
internal control does
again,
that violate?
We
Yeah.
went to an accountant and he said $400 a month. $4,800 a year. I can look y'all square in the face and tell you I am making less than $20,000 a year right now working 70 or 80 hours a week. So I couldn't contemplate taking 25% of my income and giving it to somebody else. Now, could I earn more money if I wasn't sitting down a full day a month doing that by being a better farmer? Kind of like what I said, when a farmer brings his stuff to town, he goes back, he or she gets to be a better farmer. Probably so, but I haven't got there. QuickBooks, because I had previous experience with QuickBooks when I had my own business. I kind of knew how it worked. I didn't know it was a subscription service anymore. You used to buy the disc and you owned it. It's $40 a month now, every month. So really that accountant would have only cost $4,500 a year if you did the $500 for QuickBooks. So I would love to pay. Matter of fact, so this is, phase one is $100,000, okay? If I was putting in a 2-acre farm and I had to go buy a piece of real estate and I had to fence it, then I had to have it rezoned. The city's busting our balls over the zoning on that piece of property. Had it rezoned, greenhouse, some high tunnels to grow food in, 2 water wells is $100,000, okay? $100,000 for a 2.5 acre urban farm. That's not the apartment, that's not the food kitchen, that's not the shop, that's not the classroom, okay? That's just a farm store and a farm and the ability to take food from other farmers and aggregate it, deliver it, and sell some of it there. The cool part is, Matt Murray gave us a $30,000 piece of real estate. I've got a local physician who's in for 20 grand, so half the money's raised. And I didn't have, and that was from two people, you know, from a university and from one individual. And that same individual that's backing the project with $20,000 paid off all my debt this year. Came to me and said, how much do you need to pay off everything and to put this processing facility in your front yard? I said, $9 grand, dude showed up a check for $9 grand, said, go pay everything off. So, except my house.
So do you get a W-2?
Yes, from Hubbard County Farms. I'm a salaried employee, yes.
So.
Yes, I earn $1,000 a month take home, which is about a $1,300 paycheck.
So they take care of the payroll taxes?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I do all that.
Do all that?
I do all the 941s and cut the checks and all that.
Is your fiscal year January 1st, December?
Currently it is. Don't know why, it's what it is.
Do you have anyone like on the board that helps with your fundraising or other ways to bring in revenue?
No, no, and that's, so I'm meeting with somebody tomorrow about a board position. You know, I just didn't know. And I guess it's lucky that I was a little bit naive. I didn't know what this was gonna take to start an organization like this. You know, my passion is to feed people. And so, looking back on this, I'm not so sure if I had to do this all over again, that I would have just started a business. I can give away whatever I want to if I'm making money, right? So I don't know that I would go down the nonprofit path again. And it's been very difficult to blend a perishable product into nonprofits' finances because, like, we had all this extra produce this year. We planted food for 60 families, we had 37. We had all this extra food we give to Beltway Park, buys food from us at a reduced rate for their food pantry, and then we give them some. Hope Haven got some food. Strength for Life is a cancer services gym. We gave them food because cancer patients really need high quality nutrition. They're being poisoned, so they need it. Love and Care Ministries. We've got 2 or 3 families that I've known for several years that we make sure we give them food when we've got food. So when we had all this extra food and me and the other farmer needed extra revenue, I had to go through a whole board meeting process to get the ability to sell $25 no commitment produce bags out of my front yard, just as a beta test. We had $600 of food go to waste before I get everybody together to have a board meeting. So nonprofits have no business being in the produce business. So the farming is going to move to these local farmers. They've got their own farm, right? My wife and I are probably going to lease half of that field from Hubbard Family Farms. And we're gonna be farmers. And that's where some of our income comes from. And then some other income is gonna come from the representing local producers and distributing that stuff, and from the Young Man Mentorship Program. We've got a couple of people who came on and are supporting my wife and I on a monthly basis, just $100 a month, supporting the Young Man Mentorship Program, but not running through the nonprofit right now, nothing. Here's $100 a month, we believe in you. When we gotta buy boys work gloves, work boots, jeans, we gotta feed them. So that's just kind of happened organically. Eventually talk about fundraising, eventually as we find somebody who's as passionate about what we're doing as we are, I would love to write some grants for the mentorship program. You know, I would love, because we don't have any of that kind of money coming in right now. It's hard, really, really difficult to be a farmer and a fundraiser both. It's hard. And I'm not trying to make my life hard, but if I've got a meeting with you at 3 o'clock and you say, hey Josh, I've got this idea about fundraising, and I go out to the farm that day and I've got water squirting 30 foot in the air, and I've got crops that have to be watered, I have to fix that water leak. I have to. If I've got a cow hung in a fence, I've got to take care of that cow. So I have missed dozens of meetings. As I told you earlier about my social life, it has made me appear unreliable. I'm not. But farming is not, growing local food is not something you do. It has to be part of who you are, or it won't work. It won't, and I'm not trying to get all philosophical, it just, well, you gotta be there. You gotta be able to look at your garden, you gotta be able to see the deer out there. That's one of the biggest problems we've had, is that geographical separation. Trying to drive out there and work and come home, and then, oh, I need to go back out to the farm and turn the water off. Yeah, that's $7 a field. That's 45 minutes. So, yeah, anybody has any ideas about fundraising, anybody wants to be part of a board, if they've got a professional bend to that, i.e. I'm gonna bring some money to the organization, we're willing to talk to anybody. Anything that makes my life easier, because I'm at a point where I'm like, hey, I never thought this was gonna be all this. Still trying to be, in love with my Creator, still trying to be a great husband, still trying to be a dad, trying to keep all those things in balance, because this has grown into, we're on the cusp of really being an impact organization, really, really close. But we're at a point now where the next scale, it's like we've been taking these little steps, and this next one is in ladder.
And your other board members aren't
No,
that involved?
I can't even get them to show up for board meetings. I say, hey, we're gonna have a board meeting every third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. And about 10 days with a board meeting, I start getting texts, I can't make it next Tuesday. Can you move it to Wednesday? So I try to move it to Wednesday, then somebody else, I can't make it on Wednesday. No.
Are they elected and have terms?
Yeah, they're about to rotate off. Like I say, I'm meeting with people the last quarter of this year, actively involved in those meetings right now, trying to put together some people that can, we're kingdom focused, but we gotta be business minded. And so everybody's okay with the kingdom focused part, right? That's easy. I don't have that business minded. I've never had that business minded person walk along beside me and say, hey, I wanna help get this done. I do have a young man right now that is fixing to start doing all the social media, all of that. He said, send me 4 or 5 pictures a day. I can sit down, I can schedule everything for the next 3 weeks on social media in 3 hours. And I'm like, get after it. So that's the only person that's really, and he's in his 20s, it's a millennial. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect it to happen. But I learned a lot from younger people, a lot. Younger people are typically more passionate about what we're doing than anybody older than us.
So when it comes to receiving the money, are you issuing invoices, or do you have customer accounts listed?
No.
How are you keeping up with these payments?
I just put it in quick.
Do
If someone
you-
misses a payment.
John Smith in
yeah.
QuickBooks, I go in and receive $100 from John Smith. We've got monthly produce shares, how it's classified. I'm sure somebody's gonna wanna go back and do our books from the very beginning of their
Do
report.
the folks who sign up for home deliveries in your contract, or is it month to
Just
month?
verbal, just verbal. We have people drop out all the time.
So is it okay for this?
So
like,
they've been
someone to
learning
skip
about
payments,
internal
or-
controls,
No,
and I like
no, it's
watching
not
that.
okay, because your farmer doesn't get paid that month.
Yeah.
But that being said, we have allowed people to, if people communicate with me, hey man, we had to put a transmission in our truck this month, I don't have $100. Are you sure you'll have 200? Yes. And I haven't even cut anybody off if they didn't pay. Now, there have been people who call and say, I don't want this service anymore. And they made a $1,200 commitment, and they've only paid $900 of that. So what that means is, me and the other farmer lost out on 3 months of our pay. You know, our pay has decreased, and there's always going to be some attrition. But we've got about 28 or 29 people right now that are, and you have to understand, I'm in these people's houses every week. I'm showing them how to chop this stuff up. I know their kids' names, I know their dogs' names, I know their birthdays. These are relationships, they're not customers. And I'm taking away from your question, but I don't consider them customers. It's a relationship, they're partners in this whole thing. And they know that. They absolutely know that we could not be doing this without them. No way. No way that we could be growing this much food and not have some of it pre-sold. That would be treacherous.
On your laborers, do you pay them just out of your money, or do you pay them out of the 501c3.
Who's that?
Your laborers, the people you hire to do.
We don't have any laborers.
Oh, you don't?
No.
How about the young men? How you pay them? Did you-
We pay the other farmer his share that we negotiated at the first of the year, or we negotiated last November, what his share of the home delivery market was going to be, what my share, my professional salary from Hugger Root Family Farms, and then how much of that it was gonna take to get the stuff delivered every month. We haven't, not a single laborer, my wife doesn't get a paycheck. That's something I wanna fix, cause she works her butt off. She pretty much is the manager of distribution right now. And we're not there yet, brother, we're not. We gotta have about 80 home delivery partners to really make the numbers work, for me to make a living, other farmer to make a living, his wife to get paid part-time, my wife to get paid part-time. We're not even close to that. So that's where I told y'all the $25 bags came in this year. We generated about an extra $6,000 of money, literally on Facebook, selling produce out of my front yard. Then that money went into Hugger Root, and then we had to have a board meeting to give the other producer his percentage of that, and then decide on how much of that I got for a monthly bonus, basically.
What's the last part of the year that you aren't able to provide produce? Like,
Target delivery date is April 15th to December 15th. This year, we're targeting for the people who invest in the higher end home delivery service to get bi-weekly deliveries from December 15th until April 15th. They won't have as much selection because not as much variety grows in the wintertime. But we're targeting year-round delivery beginning 2020.
do you find it harder to get people to keep paying even though that they're not receiving anything some months?
Sure. So lots of CSAs in America, community supported agriculture, where you get deliveries, or you come to a farm stand and pick it up, or another model is, say you wanted to take the 12 people in your neighborhood, and their 12 baskets came to your house, and you got your basket for free, basically. That's another model of distribution that's real popular. A lot of those services, again, are $1,200 to $2,000. They require you to pay in full upfront. And you do sign a contract saying you're assuming the same risk of natural disaster, bug infestation, et cetera, et cetera. So literally, if a tornado come through and if you were with one farm, okay, and a tornado come through and blew that farm away, you have taken a stand with that farmer, and he's still got that money.
Is that not something you wanna do?
So this year, we want our higher end home delivery system, we wanna break it up into 2 payments, one due December 20th, one due March 20th. Absolutely. Yeah, that way we don't have people canceling on us, because when people cancel on you, you gotta find something to do with that food. You know, you thought you had that food sold to them. So yeah, we would love to. Now, the contract, I don't know about that. I don't know how legal I wanna get that. Back to the faith-based part of it, back to the relationships. But yes, we are going to have dialogue with people, about, offering them a discounted rate, a little bit higher end service, and trying to collect that in 2 installments. It'll help tremendously.
Volunteer work, so if someone wants to get volunteer hours just to put it on a resume, would you have something for them?
Sure, we have to be careful. Farming is very skilled labor, and we've had people come out and not supervise them properly, and volunteers, and had them pull weeds, and they pulled 300 foot of baby carrots. Or they don't understand how careful they have to be around the irrigation lines on top of the ground, they chop those up with a hoe. Somebody who's never planted carrots and doesn't know how to plant carrots, the germination percentage might be 30%, or somebody who's skilled might be 90%. So a lot of times with volunteer labor, it ends up being, some rudimentary task, moving compost or something like that. The dialogue we've moved from volunteers is work partners. We're looking for people that are really passionate about local food, and maybe their volunteer commitment is a semester, and they're gonna come out 5 hours a week. We've learned that if we give somebody a vision on something, and they can see a measurable from what they did, they're much more likely to come back. It's a better experience for them. Now, we do have, through the adult probation, we accept community service hours. So people call and they've gotta have community service for their criminal stuff, and a lot of times they get real physical tasks. You know, they come in. Listen, if you did the crime, you gotta do the time, and if you don't wanna come back and shovel, there's other places to get your hours. But you can't get them outside with sunlight and help grow food to feed other people. So we've got some good volunteers from that community service program. And sometimes people are going through kind of a life change, they've got criminal charges like I did, and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So they're looking to do something better, you know? So yeah, and volunteer hours sometimes have been, hey, can I clean up the pictures on your phone? Can I make a folder for farm pictures on your phone? I wanna do that. So I got all kinds of volunteer opportunities. Just depends on what somebody wants to do.